Okay, so good evening everybody. Welcome to tonight's Why doTERRA, Why Now webinar. My name's Sarah Barber and I'm going to be doing this webinar this evening with my good friend and colleague Natalie Heath. And before we get going, we just thought it would be nice to share just a little bit about us, who we are, how long we've been doing doTERRA, and why we decided to do it, why we were attracted to it. So I'll begin. My name is Sarah Barber, for those of you that don't know me. I'm a doTERRA Platinum leader. I'm a nutritional therapist. I also do something called biofeedback. I've been doing nutritional therapy for about 10 years now, and the biofeedback for 5. And essential oils, I've always had them in my life, many years, and I've dipped in and out of them. But using them in the way that doTERRA allows, because of the purity, has completely opened up so many possibilities, both for me and how I use them personally at home with myself and my family, but also how I'm able to use them as a therapist and help my clients achieve faster results. And also using doTERRA to help, build a residual income, which we're going to talk a little bit about later, why someone might want to build a residual income in the first place, or a second, revenue stream, why is that important, and why might we want to do that. So I've been doing doTERRA. I was introduced to the oils, I was probably introduced to the oils about 3.5 years ago, and I bought my first kit 2.5 years ago in August, my first set of oils, and I immediately loved them and immediately knew that I wanted to integrate them into the work that I was already doing. And for Natalie and I, you'll see we've got a background in different natural health disciplines, but just to stress, if you're watching this and you don't, that definitely doesn't mean that you couldn't have your own doTERRA business or integrate them some way into either what you're already doing or to start something completely new. There's many people in doTERRA that have never done anything to do with health and wellness and are still phenomenally successful and all love what they do. So that's a little bit about me. I'll pass you over to Natalie now and she can introduce herself.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. So it was actually my lovely friend Sarah that introduced me to these oils about 14 months ago now, I think it was. I came along to a class, and like most people that come along to a class, was just like my mind was completely blown when I learned about these oils, and I learned about the purity and the potency, and like Sarah said, the potential benefits that these oils could bring for myself, my family. So yeah, I had some pretty incredible experiences with them, and pretty much straight away I knew that like Sarah, this was something that I wanted to bring into my business, because I could see the value that I was going to be able to provide my health coaching clients. I also teach yoga. So in my yoga classes, for my yoga students, being able to really enhance their experiences in the class, in the yoga and the meditation. And at the time I was also practicing holistic therapies as well. So I kind of had 3 things that I did already that I knew the oils would integrate really well with. But I was also really excited to teach the classes in their own right, in their own capacity as well, because I knew how beneficial that information was to pass on to people, so that they could get the same benefits that me and my family had experienced. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey so far. My life has changed completely for the better, and yeah, now I'm just really passionate to help other people not only to experience the oils, but also to experience the potential benefits that actually building a business with these oils can bring to their lives and their families as well. So I'm really excited to be here and presenting this for you this evening.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, so what we're going to move on to now is just a really quick 2 or 3 slides for everybody listening tonight is going to be at a slightly different place on their own doTERRA journey, and we just wanted to recap or touch on what an essential oil is, and why the doTERRA oils genuinely are different to other oils. So as you may know, they're aromatic compounds. They're found in plants, and they're actually the immune system of the plant, and they're extracted from the plant in one of 2 ways that you'll see there on the screen. And what's so exciting, because they are so pure, and because they are, they've literally come directly from the plant, and they have such a life force to them that they're very powerful, they're very safe, they don't have any of the same side effect concerns as pharmaceuticals, and we can really use them in a very exciting way to support our health, our well-being, our emotional well-being, and many other things. Whether it's green cleaning, pet care, gardening, whatever it is that you're into, you can use these beautiful oils to support and enhance what it is that you're doing. Do you want to carry on now? I think you're on mute. Yeah.
So this is one of the really exciting things about the oils. Some of you may know about this. You may have come to a class and have learnt about this, but we're just going to go over it very, very quickly for those that may not have heard this information yet. So this slide is basically explaining how these essential oils can actually be more effective than regular medication. As you can see, we've got a diagram of a cell here, and what this is telling us is basically the outer membrane there of the cell. That is actually like a fatty layer around the cell. And as we know, like most medications are water-based. They dissolve in the water in our body. They go around our bodies. Water and oil repel each other. So it means that the medications can't actually get inside our cells, which is fine if we're trying to treat something bacterially, bacteria infection. Antibiotics, as we know, can be very beneficial in treating that, but we know that they can't actually really affect viruses, and that's because the viruses reside inside the cells and those medications can't get inside the cells. On the other hand, because the essential oils are also lipid-based, as you can see on the diagram here, they actually have the ability to penetrate the cell. And these oils are, have tremendous antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, antiparasitic properties. There's different oils that we can use for different things. So we're actually able to get the oils working for us very, very quickly on a cellular level. And as you can imagine, this is really, really exciting. And this is just one of the many reasons why these oils are so therapeutic and have such amazing potential for us.
Great, thank you. Alrighty, so what makes doTERRA oils different to other oils? So there's so many oils out there, they're everywhere. You can literally get them from, garages and pound shops these days. They're literally, popularity is exploding, and I genuinely think part of that is, a big part of that is down to kind of doTERRA bringing essential oils more into the mainstream. You may or may not know this, but there's actually no regulations governing essential oil production. So a company is allowed to state on a bottle of essential oil that it's 100% pure. And actually it only needs to have up to 5% pure oil, which I still find really shocking. What that tells us is, it tells us that the majority of essential oils out there aren't pure. Yes, there's, you know, obviously there's going to be some companies that are, you know, doing better than that, but you know, actually it's really, really important to have a pure oil, because the essential oils themselves, they're very, very concentrated, and you know, these oils are getting inside our cells, so we don't want anything other than pure plant oil in these bottles. So in absence of any regulations, what doTERRA decided to do, because they're so passionate about pure, 100% pure therapeutic grade plant oils, is to create a standard that you will see there. So certified pure is the purity of the oil, and this is really achieved through the testing that doTERRA do. And the therapeutic grade part is around the indigenous sourcing, which means that when a plant is grown in its natural kind of habitat, the quality, the chemistry of the oil is going to be as good as it can possibly be, and therefore work harder and better and more efficiently in our bodies. So that's what the CPTG is. It's doTERRA's own standard of quality. They do not try and suggest that it's anything other than their own standard, but an independent third-party company called the Aromatic Plant Research Centre. Aromatic Plant Research Centre, for anyone wanting to write that down, fantastic website and Facebook group. They do doTERRA's sort of third-party testing, so they're endorsing that the quality of the oil is 100% pure.
Yeah, so you can see in this slide here, this is talking about what's known as indigenous sourcing. So most essential oils companies will produce their plants in a couple of places around the world, in greenhouses, polytunnels, because it's the most cost-effective way to produce them. However, as we know from food that is produced in this way, you know, if we've tasted like strawberries or tomatoes that have been forced on and that are not growing how and where they would like to, they don't taste very good, and the nutritional value is probably not very good either. And what doTERRA actually do, as you can see here, is they source all of their plants from all the different locations around the world where that plant is actually originally from. So if you think about wild food, if you've sort of foraged for food, if something's grown where it's naturally from, where it's happiest, it's going to have much more potency, it's going to have much more flavor, it's going to have much more nutritional benefits, and the same applies for these plants. So they're actually growing in the right soil, and they have the right humidity, they have the right amount of rain, they have the right temperature, they're grown at the right altitudes, they're actually grown by artisans who have been looking after that particular plant for generations, and they know exactly when to harvest it, how to look after it. They grow biodynamically with the cycles of the moon, and all of these things actually make a huge difference on the resulting potency of the oil and therapeutic properties of the plant, because it's going to result in such a wider chemical makeup in the plant, and that is going to give us much higher therapeutic properties in the resulting oil.
Brilliant, thanks Nat. And on the left there, the Source to You, that's a website that I'd definitely encourage you just to have a quick look at, sourcetoyou.com, and you can actually, even those of you that have got doTERRA oils already, on the bottom of any bottle that you might have, there's a sort of a serial number in white, and you can type that in, and our oils are fully traceable, and we can actually see the quality reports, as well as it's a really lovely website anyway to check out. So before we move on to talking a little bit more about the business opportunity, there is a charity side to doTERRA. So tonight's webinar is about integrating doTERRA or starting a wellness business, integrating the oils into that. But doTERRA have a massive heart. They are a business, but they also are looking to ensure that everybody involved is benefiting in some way. So this is doTERRA's charity, but there is also something called co-impact sourcing, which is kind of like fair trade but better, to coin Natalie's phrase. And co-impact sourcing is about looking after the farmers and the growers and supporting the formation of cooperatives so that everybody's getting treated not just fairly but actually better than fairly. They're not just getting the minimum, and they're getting a lot of support with infrastructure and other things like that. And then the charity side, it is a charity that is funded by a couple of different things, donations, but also you'll see this hope oil here. Every time any of us buy hope oil, 100% of the money that we pay goes to this charity. We're not non-for-profit charity, so every single penny that we might choose to donate or that would get to the charity through the purchase of this hope oil, which is gorgeous, by the way. But also there's one other product which isn't pictured here, which is the rose hand lotion. Those go directly to the charity. And doTERRA does so much work every year, so much amazing work. So we're not going to go into that in detail now, but just to say that, you can look up, these are the names of some of the projects. So Days for Girls is about education and reusable sanitary ware. The Hope Oil, the project that ties into, is something called Operation Underground Railroad, which is about working with children that have fallen into either child slavery or sex trafficking. And there's many other projects. So if you would like to learn more, you can just note down doTERRA Healing Hands Foundation. There's actually a website in its own right now where you can learn more about some of these projects.
Okay, so this slide is an interesting one, and there's a little story here, as you can see, and it's quite small, so I'll read this out to you. There was a man who hauled buckets of water for a living. Every day he hauled water from the nearest source to his village miles away. If he wanted to make more money, he would simply work longer hauling buckets. After many years, he grew weary of hauling buckets. Then inspiration came. If he used his spare time to build a pipeline, eventually he could be free from hauling buckets. So he labored diligently for a few years to build his pipeline. The day he turned on the spigot, everything changed. He successfully created an unlimited supply of water and improved lifestyle for the villagers and himself, resulting in an abundant financial pipeline. So this is just talking about, as you've probably guessed, the difference between trading our time for dollars, or for, in our case, pounds, money, or for actually creating something that is going to then be able to give you that residual income a bit further down the line. So like this guy here, he used some of his spare time while he still had to haul his buckets to build his pipeline, and then later on in life he was able to turn on the tap, and he didn't have to labor swapping his time for water, for money anymore. And it's just a really nice story to illustrate what happens with a business such as this, and to illustrate what it means to be building a residual income. So we've got here hauling buckets, you're trading hours for dollars, or money, time, pounds. Limit on advancement and earnings, that's another thing. How easy is it to increase your pay? when you want to. Limited time freedom, and you're often, if we're working for somebody else, we're actually building somebody else's dream. We're helping to build somebody else's business and somebody else's future. Whereas when we decide that we want to have that for ourselves and we're going to build our own residual income, our own pipeline, this is what true lasting residual income means. There's no limits on advancement and earnings. That's completely up to us. If we want to increase our earnings, then we can. Freedom to choose our own schedule. For me, that's a really important one, because I want to spend time with my little boy when he's young. He's 7 at the moment, and I'm actually able now to design my life around him. I'm able to be there for all of his school events. I'm able to do the school runs. I don't have to be working at a different place with the times dictated to me, where, you know, when I have to be there. And building your dreams. And you know, I think for everybody here on this call, you're probably here because, you know, you have some dreams for your future. You have some things that you want to do, and you know that the status quo isn't actually what you want and what you want to settle for. And this is just an amazing opportunity for us to be able to create the life, the lifestyle, the business, the income of our dreams, and be able to not have to haul buckets for the rest of our lives.
Okay, so excuse me, this slide is just a summary, a very high level summary of how the business works. So doTERRA being a product-based business, what this is looking at is that anybody doing doTERRA as a business has the most wonderful product that the business is genuinely designed around. So that's what makes doing doTERRA so easy and such a joy, because we have the most phenomenal product that is beautifully pure, does what, you know, these oils do what they claim that they do, and people are naturally drawn to them. So the fact that it's product based and the product is extremely strong is, I think, absolutely key and critical. You know, it's something that you can stand behind, I can stand behind, without any doubt or hesitation that I'm sharing something with others that I know is going to support their health, their well-being, and, you know, if they're choosing to incorporate it into a business, and their financial well-being as well. 85% of people using doTERRA are customers. So doTERRA is network marketing. It's a network marketing business, and traditionally some network marketing companies have had a stigma around companies trying to recruit and nothing else around that. So the first 2 points, the fact that it's product based, and the fact that, you know, most people that purchase oils are customers and are only ever customers, that tells us that actually, again, it's a product-led business. And there's actually over 7 million homes across the world that have doTERRA oils within them. So that, I think, further kind of substantiates and validates the product, and the fact that, you know, people want and love and use these oils, and they're going to continue to be doing that for many, many years to come. So customers order online and their products are delivered directly to them. So people doing doTERRA as a business, we're not holding stock of any kind. Yes, we have, you know, the odd oils that we might build up, and you know, we sometimes use those as little giveaways and things. But ultimately, it's very easy in the sense that, you know, we are sharing these oils with people. and we will tell you a little bit more about exactly what we do day to day in a little bit. But essentially, we're connecting people up with these oils, we're sharing them. The oils really do speak for themselves, and people, once they've experienced them, tend to want them. And then we help customers get them. We tend to do their first orders for them, set them up with an account, and the oils come directly from doTERRA. In terms of the business side, anybody that you would introduce the oils to would always be connected to you, and you would benefit from commission, initial commission, when a customer first chooses to purchase normally a kit, but sometimes single oils through you, and then over time from any future purchases that they might make. And then you will also earn, so over time, as you're sharing oils with people that have health needs, normally that's what I do. I work with people and help them find solutions to problems with their emotional or physical wellness. And as I'm doing this along the way, people are interested in what I'm doing, and some of those people want to do it too. And those people that do decide that they would like to do what I'm doing, or a form of it, and incorporate it into their own businesses, as they start to introduce people, share the oils, and people get oils through them, then, you know, if that person was you and you've started and you know, you're sharing oils with people and you're earning the commission from people that have decided to buy, as those customers, some of those customers will be interested in doing what you do, and as they do and they introduce the oils to people and those people buy, not only will, you know, the person that you've introduced earn their commission, but you will benefit as well. And this works 3 levels down. So that's all you really kind of need to know for now. You earn commission from people you introduce, and over time, as some of those people will want to do it too, and you'll earn commission from the people that they introduce to the oils too, and then 1 more level down.
Yeah, so this is really exciting. As it says here, the single most important factor in creating a residual income is retention rate. So retention rate is just basically the amount of people who decide to purchase the product again after their initial purchase. As you can see here, doTERRA has a 64% retention rate, which on the next slide you'll be able to see how phenomenal that is, because as an industry, the average retention rate, as you can see here, is just 13%, which is yeah, it seems really low, but that is the average. And
does everyone know, sorry to interrupt, what a retention rate is? Because I must admit I didn't know the first time. Maybe we could clarify that. Does anyone not know? You're all on mute, but should we clarify that?
Yeah. So you can see here on the bullet points, 65% of doTERRA's customers order every 1 to 3 months. 80% of doTERRA's customers order at least once a year. And 70% of all customers ever, 6.2 million, ordered in the last 3 months. So this is what the retention rate means. It means the retention of the customer, basically. So the customer will make an initial purchase from you. Retention of that customer is the customer deciding to buy again. And as you can see, with the different percentages here, you can see that 80% of doTERRA customers order at least once in a year, which is massively high. and then the 65% for 1 to 3 months. And this is actually where your residual income is coming from. So when we're speaking about the hauling buckets and the pipeline story, this is where your pipeline is going to be coming from. You want to be building your business and looking after your customers so that they will be repeat customers for you, and that is where your financial pipeline is going to be being built from. And then, as it says here, doTERRA is a debt-free company with no outside funding, and that's actually pretty rare these days. I don't know of any other company that is able to say that, and that just means that it's really safe and secure. We know that what we're building with this company is not just going to be swept away from underneath us at any given moment. It's really safe and it's really secure, and we can rest assured that what we're building here is going to be safely there with us for the future as well.
Brilliant, thanks Natalie. And just to clarify as well, the 13% is actually other network marketing companies. So yeah, and the reason for this is the product. It's because the product is so strong. People, you know, fall in love with the oils. They want them, they need them, and they regularly rebuy them. So doTERRA's growth. So doTERRA has recently had its 10th birthday. So we mentioned earlier that it's the largest essential oil company in the world, and doTERRA's growth was actually faster than Apple, which I think is incredible and very exciting. So it got up to $2 billion per annum in just 9 years. And what's even more exciting for us is that Europe is doTERRA's fastest growing region. So some people, you know, sometimes say to me, oh, doTERRA's, you know, everywhere, you know, I'm hearing about it here and there, and you know, they perhaps are attracted to the idea of building a business, but then they're a little bit like, oh, there's so many people doing it. But actually we are at the, you know, at the very, very beginning. I think some people in some areas might be hearing more about it just because it is starting to, more people are starting to have heard of it, as opposed to it being saturated. And we've got a slide on that in a minute. So more customers joined in March 2018 than all of 2013 and 14 combined. So this is just about growth. This is saying, you know, that the growth in the last year or two it's skyrocketing, and it's, you know, it's a very exciting time. And furthermore, within the UK, we are the fastest growing country or market in the fastest growing region. So there's so much opportunity. And the forecast is actually set to triple this year. So in 2019, I think that's actually a typo, but our forecast is that we're going to triple that. So there's no sign of anything even starting to slow down. And there are some European warehouses, so Heathrow and Netherlands. And last year, doTERRA opened a UK office. So MK actually stands for Milton Keynes. So there's 2 European kind of head offices, if you like. And again, it's quite exciting to have one in England. Natalie and I got to visit it at the end of November, and it's really beautiful. It's really a really lovely space. And then, you know, brand awareness. So what I like is, you know, doTERRA's been in the UK for about 4 years now, and when doTERRA very first came in, you know, the people that were sharing the oils in that very first year, they in many respects had a much harder job than we have now, because there was no brand awareness at all. when they were starting. You know, there was a brand new company bringing a product in, and also, you know, the resources, the business tools that are available to anybody starting a doTERRA business now are brilliant, but at the time there were none. So we're actually at an advantage to be starting now, because people have heard of doTERRA. You know, still lots of people haven't, but at least there's a little bit of awareness now. So when, you know, we are talking to people about the oils or offering them a sample, it's actually quite a good thing that people have heard of doTERRA, because they're going to be open to trying it. And then lastly, 5.1 billion market. So this is a $5.1 billion market, and you know, that's a big market, and doTERRA are actually the market leader, so they've got a 23% share of that.
Yeah, so Sarah was just talking about, is the market saturated? And the answer is definitely a big no. It is not saturated at all. Europe has a 0.03% market penetration rate, and you can see in brackets the UK is 0.06. So out of 10,000 people in Europe, only 3 people out of that 10,000 people have an account. And so if we think about that as in the UK, like that's in the whole of Europe. So the UK is probably going to be like less than 1 person in every 10,000, right? So Australia is 1.49%, which means that 149 people out of every 10,000 people have an account. If we had the same penetration rate as Australia, we would be 50 times bigger in revenue today, 7.5 billion. And with the growth that doTERRA is actually experiencing, you know, that can definitely and will definitely be happening. So it's very, very exciting times. You're in the right place at the right time, which is always nice, isn't it?
Sure. Okay, so European growth. So this is just showing, I think you had something sensible to say about this, Natalie, when we were talking about it earlier. Can you remember what it was?
I think this is just a chart showing in 2015 16 million, and then just how much it's grown in just those 2 years, from 2015 to 2017, from 16 million to 68 million plus. So it's just like showing the massive amount of growth, and like you said earlier, like compared to companies like Apple, we have actually grown the quickest in the same amount of time, which is actually really phenomenal. And the essential oils industry is actually the fastest growing industry in the world right now.
Yeah, which, you know, when I heard that, Natalie and I were at an event, when was Sicily, in October, and I learned that, and my thoughts were, you know, some of these stats that we're sharing with you this evening, my thoughts were, you know, when I said yes to doTERRA, to this opportunity 2.5 years ago, some of these things I didn't know then. You know, I didn't know, I'm not even sure if 2.5 years ago, probably it was, but whether it was the fastest growing industry. But you learn some of these facts and you're like, I'm so grateful that I'm doing this, because it's, you know, there's so many reasons for me anyway, to say yes. Okay, so can doTERRA be replicated? So doTERRA's oils, the single oils, but also their proprietary blends, the blends that they formulated of different essential oils in one bottle. Often the blends, they have different functions. So you might get a digestive blend, or an immune blend, or a pain blend, or a relaxing blend. So, but the point being that as we mentioned at the beginning, that the two things that make doTERRA oils different is the purity, which is achieved through the testing, and the indigenous sourcing, which gives us these therapeutic grade, very chemically complex and broad oils that will work so well in our bodies. And the indigenous sourcing, the relationships that doTERRA have created with these cooperatives, they are exclusive to doTERRA and they do not grow for any other companies. So the answer is no, doTERRA can't be replicated. So it isn't the same buying another essential oil black brand, even if we perceive it to be a very high quality brand. Nobody else is doing what doTERRA are doing to the same level. Because they're the largest essential oil company in the world, they're able to pour more money into sophisticated, cutting edge technology to do the testing, because actually it's very easy for adulteration and contamination of oils to slip under the radar, and doTERRA's testing actually means that nothing can get under the radar. But again, doTERRA are in a wonderful position to be able to do this because they've built their business and they've got the money to put back into the testing. And the same with the sourcing of the plants for the oils. They've found the best places in the world. They've created these relationships with the growers and helped them to form cooperatives. And they treat them, well. They look after them, and they have exclusivity over the supply of the plants, which means that these oils you're not going to find better, and they can't be replicated. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to be able to read between the lines when you might be looking at someone else's website, another company's website, and it might suggest that they're doing many of the things that need to be done for pure oils, but actually in reality they're not. Okay.
Yeah, so this is just talking about the compensation plan. I'm not going to spend a massive amount of time on this because it can take a little bit of getting your head round, and you don't need to completely understand it today. But what this slide is here for is to just illustrate how different doTERRA's compensation plan is to other network marketing companies, and basically that's because of the percentages here. So you can see at the level 1, so these are all the people that are just underneath you, all your customers, that we call that the front line. So all your customers or team members that are just right underneath you, you would be getting 2% commission for those people. And then as the levels go down, as you can see, the percentage increases until you get down to level 7, which is 7%. Now, why this is exciting is because if you think about it, you're going to have much more of your customer base a little bit further down in your organization. So you're actually getting paid the highest percentage where there's the most amount of people. And this is completely, as far as I know, completely unique to doTERRA. I don't know of another network marketing company doing it like this. It's usually the other way around. So doTERRA have actually flipped it. Usually you'll be getting paid the highest percentage of commission at the top, where you have the least amount of people, and then the least amount of percentage down the bottom, where you have the most amount of people. So you can kind of just see that down in the bottom there. If you look at level 7, where this is just a figure just to illustrate the point for you. Say, for example, you had 2,187 people down there, and you were getting paid 7% commission for all of those people. That would be 22,963. If that was flipped, can't see it completely clearly, but I think it says something like 7,000 there. So you can see actually how different that is in terms of your income. And that's just one of the reasons why doTERRA as a company to be partnering with is just, you know, one of the best network marketing companies that you could want to do business with, because of the way that they structure their compensation plan. And this is actually just one of many ways in which they reward you and compensate you for all the hard work that you do.
Thanks, Nat. And I just wanted to add a couple of personal points on the compensation plan as well. That first one was, when I was first looking at this, as Natalie said, this is just one type of compensation. And when I saw the 2%, I was like, what? 2%? It sounded like such a low amount to me. But this is just one type of commission that you get paid, and it's not. These percentages aren't actually what you get paid on a new person that you're bringing in and you're introducing to the oils. Actually get 20% for the first 3 months that person is a customer. If they buy again after that first enrollment, for the next 3 months you actually get 20% each time, and you're getting 10% from anybody that you've introduced and have, you know, and they're enrolling people, and then you get 5% of anyone they're enrolling. So as Natalie said, you don't need to understand all this now. The compensation plan is, you know, it's a half an hour chat with whoever you've been working with in doTERRA. But just to say, this is just one part, and there's 5 different compensation commission pieces that together all add up to an income in doTERRA. And the second thing I wanted to say was, I was very attracted to, one of the reasons I was very attracted to doTERRA was because of the compensation plan. Now, I've got a background in business, but I left finance after working in it for 10 years because I wanted to do something that was more meaningful for me and was helping people. And that's when I got into my nutrition business. But at the same time, I was looking for something that I could earn a good income from. So for me, that both of those things, I need to have both those boxes ticked for my work to work for me. And so when I saw this compensation plan, the whole compensation plan, not just this slide, and it was also an opportunity to be able to reach a lot of people over time, then again, those 2 boxes were ticked for me. I knew I was going to be able to help a lot of people, and I also knew that I was going to be able to build not only a good income, but a residual income, which was very attractive to me. So doTERRA average earnings by rank. So what exactly can we expect to earn if we are integrating these oils into our businesses, our current businesses, or if we're deciding that, you know, we're not doing anything like this, and there's nothing to integrate it into, but we would like to start a doTERRA business. So within doTERRA we have ranks, and really you don't need to worry about those ranks right now, but really what they tell us is how over time your expected income will increase based on the number of people that you're introducing to the oils and that are choosing to get some, the number of people that you've already introduced and are choosing to buy again, and also any people over time that, you know, have been attracted to the business because of you and because you have shared it at the end of a class, or you've contacted them and said, I think this is something that you would really love doing. You'll also be earning commission that way. So these figures, you will see that they are quite broad in their ranges. Yes. So it's kind of, and there's a good reason for that, and I'm going to explain to you why they are quite broad. But also, I would love to tell you that they are completely realistic, and they accurately map, you know, my journey so far. So at the beginning of this presentation, you will have noted that my current rank is a platinum. So I think it's valuable for me to let you guys know how much I'm currently earning with doTERRA, because I think it's important that you feel that it's, you know, these aren't just numbers that are plucked out of thin air, and they are actually very real. So, you know, I'm currently earning around £3,000 per month as my monthly income, and you know, that's pretty much in the middle, isn't it, of that range for platinum. And you'll see there that the timeline is given to be 23 months. And I'm just trying to think, I did platinum in, I think, about a year and a half, maybe just over, maybe like 19 or 20 months. So did it a bit quicker than on there. Gold, the rank before that, is, I achieved that, I'm just trying to remember the dates in my head. So gold was in October. So, oh, I know Jasmine knows how long I took to get to gold. I don't know myself. Silver, I took 6 months. I can remember that one. So 5 or 6 months to get to silver. And I was earning between 800 when I first hit silver, and towards the end, when I was more solid and I was kind of moving to a place where I would go up to my next rank, I was more kind of towards the £1,000 a month place. So the reason why the ranges are quite broad is because some people might get to a particular rank faster than others. So if you've got to a rank very quickly, you're likely to have introduced less customers to your organisation, just simply because not as much time has elapsed for you to have been able to introduce customers. So therefore, the number of customers that will be rebuying is just going to be a bit lower if you've got to a rank very fast. So therefore, there's less customers. So if you're working out, you know, you earn a percentage of customers rebuying, then if you get to a rank really fast, then that's one reason why you might be at the lower end to start with. But normally you would never expect to go down in money all the time you're staying at a particular rank. You would only ever expect for that money to go up, because, you know, all along the way, month on month, you're introducing more customers, and therefore that's more customers that will be potentially rebuying, and you'll be earning commission from that. So that's one reason that the ranges are quite broad. The other reason is that there is one type of commission that we haven't spoken about tonight, because, as I said, the compensation plan is kind of a half an hour chat with whoever you've been working with. And it's almost like a follow-up to this. You know, if you have loved what you've heard tonight and you're excited to learn more, then that's something you could obviously, you know, get into the nitty-gritty with them over. But there is one type of commission that's called the Power of 3 bonus, and some people get to that faster than others. And there's three kind of stages to it. And the first stage, you're earning £38 a month. The second stage, you're earning £200 a month. And the third stage of this bonus, you're earning around £1,200 a month. So you could be at silver and only on that first level. So you might only be earning £300 because you've got there quite quickly and you haven't had a chance really to build this particular bonus that I'm talking about. So you're only getting £38, where on the other end of the scale, you might have managed to get this bonus in place, and you might be earning £1,200 a month just from this one commission that makes up your overall commission. So if that doesn't make any sense, don't worry, just pick it back up later on. But just to say that they do vary, but for me, what you're seeing there has been very accurate, and I know for Natalie too. and I find in most cases people tend to get there by those timelines or faster. And then, you know, the figures after that, so I kind of haven't talked about the diamond and the blue diamond and the presidential diamond, but you know, my next rank is going to be diamond. I'm confident that I'll be there by halfway through 2019, and you know, I'm not expecting to be earning £12,000 at all when I first hit it. I will probably earn £4,000 to £5,000 the first month I hit it, but over time I would move, you know, further along. And the exciting thing about these ranks is you are, when you're starting a doTERRA business, you, as well as using the oils and getting to know them and sharing them and teaching classes, you are open and inviting people that you think would be good or enjoy doing the business with you to do that. And you actually only need to find, you know, 3 people that want to do this with you to get all the way to platinum. So only 3 people to get all the way to platinum, and 4 to get all the way to diamond, 5 to get all the way to blue diamond, and 6 people to presidential diamond. So these figures are very they are very achievable over time. And you know, the lady that introduced me to these oils, Emily Mascarenhas, she is the fastest growing person to blue diamond in Europe, and the person that introduced her to the oils, they were the first people to hit presidential diamond in Europe. So the other very exciting thing about getting involved, and particularly if you're on this call, you've been working either with myself or Natalie or somebody within this wider organisation, you know, we've got people that really know and understand this business. You know, they've got the most experience and knowledge, and they do regular training calls, and they're very personable. They're really, really lovely people. So it's just another plus really on top of all the other things that we've been talking about.
Okay, so hopefully the income possibilities have been interesting and exciting to you, and you're excited about the products as well. But you might be wanting to know, well, what actually is this business? You know, what do we actually do day to day? And as you can see here, it's actually quite simple. What we do day to day is actually quite basic. So the first step is that we're actually just sharing oils. Sarah mentioned this earlier. She, in her day-to-day life and in her sort of daily goings on, or whatever she's doing, wherever she's going, and her friends and her family or whatever, you know, she has her ears and her eyes open. She is looking for anybody who may be having a need for an essential oil, so a physical or an emotional ailment that she knows that she could help by sharing an oil with them. And so that's what she'll do. Offer them a little sample of oil. They're just these tiny little sample bottles that we decant the oil into, and we'll give little instructions to the person as well, so that they know exactly how to use their oil. And then we'll follow up with them a few days later and just see how they got on. So, you know, we're not selling anything. We're not pressuring anybody to do anything. We're just contacting them and saying, hey, you know, how did you get on with, have you had a chance to use that oil I gave you? How have you got on with it? And most of the time the answer will be great. You know, it was really beneficial. Thank you very much for sharing it with me. And you know, that relates to a positive experience. The person has enjoyed what you've shared with them, it's helped them, they've had a positive experience from it. And then we would just then invite that person to learn a little bit more. You know, chances are, if they've had a positive experience with the oil and it's helped them with that particular issue, they will be wanting to learn a little bit more about the possibilities of other oils helping them with other things that they are dealing with. And that's when we would invite them along to a class. And so the next step is obviously to teach the class, and these can be group classes, or if that sounds a little bit scary to you straight away, I promise you that it's not, and it's very easy, and it's completely set out for you, and you would never be expected to just go out and do that on your own straight away. You would be supported by the person who you're working with. But you can also teach in a one-to-one setting, so that might sort of appeal to you and your network and the people that you know a little bit better. So that's also an option as well. And there is also an option to teach online as well, like what we're doing this evening. And then once people come along to your classes, or you're chatting to them on a one-to-one basis, a lot of the time they love what they hear, and they actually want to get some oils into their homes and to begin using on themselves and their families. And, you know, this is the part that we always say, you know, the oils really sell themselves. There's not any hard sell, you know, there's no sort of high pressure or anything like that. It's really a case of just letting people know at the end of the class how to get some oils if they choose to do so. And that's what I love about it as well, because I've never really been a salesy person. And I've just found that, yeah, these oils just naturally attract people, and a lot of people want to actually get them, and are asking you actually how they can get some. So for those people that do want to get some, as Sarah mentioned briefly earlier, you know, we would then process that first order for them, set them up with their wholesale account, and then we would give them what's known as a wellness consultation. So that's a one-to-one session with that new customer that you take them through their account, their oils. You show them how to look up particular issues or ailments, and you do a few of those together, write out a little protocol for them so that they can get started with their oil straight away. Because the very worst thing for us is if somebody buys some oils and they don't use them and they just sit on the shelf. You know, that's a complete waste of their money. It's not what we want for them. You know, that's not what it's about. We want them to be getting them out of the boxes, out of the bottles, using them and benefiting from them, because that's why we do what we do. And the wellness consultation really helps with that, because it helps them to feel confident using their oils. Sometimes people can feel a little bit out of their depth, or a little bit worried that they're going to do something wrong. So this is where we can support them and give them the education they need, and reassure them of the safe way to use the oils. And then it says here, further education. So we wouldn't just be doing the wellness consultation and then forgetting about that person. We continue that relationship with each and every one of our customers as much as they want us to be part of their journey. So there's lots of ways that we can support them with further education, letting them know of news, and giving them extra value for them to learn more about their oils and how they can benefit from them. And then the next step, as Sarah explained earlier, you know, just naturally some of those people are actually going to want to do what you're doing, are going to be interested in that, might come on to an event like this, and they will then become builders, and that is just a term for somebody that's building a business with doTERRA. So naturally, after time, some of your customers are going to choose to partner with you and become builders with you. And so then you would just be supporting them to get going, just in the same way that you were supported to get going by the person that's helping you. And like it says here, you would never be expected to do that all on your own either. You know, that's what's so great about this. Again, as Sarah touched on earlier, that it's such a great amount of support, training, resources, community. There's as much help and support as you need, basically, and you want. So you're never out there on your own. You know, you're building your own business, but you're not doing it by yourself. You know, you've got as much support and help as you wish to receive. And then the last step is just repeat. So that is basically the whole business. So it's quite simple, really.
Perfect, thank you. Initial investment. So you heard this tonight, and this is for the people that are thinking, yeah, you know, I'm interested, I would like to do this. Or it can just obviously be us explaining what the investment is. So for me, if you imagine starting any business that you might possibly want to do, most businesses, you're probably going to go and get a bank loan for, you know, £5,000 or £10,000 or more. But to start with doTERRA, there's actually no business investment at all, other than buying some oils, which, let's face it, you know, buying some lovely oils so that you can start your doTERRA business and you'll get to, you know, use them on yourself and your family isn't terrible. So there's a short list of things that we recommend are the basics to starting a business. There are a few kits to choose from, and the bigger the kit, in terms of the monetary value, the bigger the discount. Natalie and I both started with this Home Essentials kit, which, for those of you that don't know, this is our 10 core oils that we tend to base the majority of the work we do with our customers around. And this is the bigger size bottles, so 15ml bottles, 250 drops in each one. So the Home Essentials kit, you get a cold mist diffuser, you get the 10 oils, and you get a rather nice coffee table book for £226, and it includes a wholesale account. Excuse me. So everybody gets this, so customers get the wholesale account as well, and it really just means that anybody can buy again for 25% off every time. So it's kind of like a wholesale price, a wholesale account. And then we're going to need some fractionated coconut oil. So this is doTERRA's only carrier oil that they do. It doesn't smell of coconut oil at all. It's been gently heated to smells. So we need this because sometimes we are advising customers to dilute their oils, their essential oils, for safety. So it's a hot, spicy oil, or we're making up something for a child, or something like that. Or if we just want the oil to stay locally on the particular area of the body, using a carrier oil is going to help us achieve that. You'll definitely need a book. So Modern Essentials book, the latest edition looks like this. Rather nice lavender picture. And Modern Essentials is, excuse me, definitely the book to go for if you're thinking about doing the business, because it is the more kind of sciencey one. And why we need this is because when we're first starting to use our oils, we are getting to know them ourselves. And the more you can use the oils personally for yourself and your family, start to build up a strong kind of belief in them and their abilities, and get to know them, and start to get a feel for, you know, when you need which oils and how to use them, and this kind of thing. You're building up your own kind of personal knowledge base. And so to be, you know, referring to a doTERRA resource each time you do this is crucial. But also, as you start to offer people an oil to try for a specific ailment, you're going to want to look that ailment up in the book and see what oil the book recommends. So that's why the book is needed. And then sample bottles. So many of you that already have oils probably, that you had a little oil sample shared with you at some point on your journey, or maybe more than once. And you can get sample bottles for about £12 for 75. You can get less than that, you can get more than that. And you see there, the initial investment to start your doTERRA business comes in at under £300. And then the only other thing really to mention on the side of investments is something we call a monthly spend. So as you'll see there, we've put that this is a financial commitment. So a monthly spend is actually needed by doTERRA because it's how the computer system actually sees that we are doing the business and pays us out any commission due. But it is also a financial commitment. It's a commitment that we are making when we're saying yes to doing this as a business. And actually it's very, very easy to spend 80 quid a month on oils. And yes, they're a business expense, but again, we are also using them. So every time we buy an oil, it's a business tool. We can use them to make up a little sample to share with somebody for an ailment, but we've also got that bottle for ourselves. And if nothing else, it's wonderful natural healthcare, right, for ourselves and our family. So it isn't actually a lot of money when you consider that that's the only outgoing. And for me, within 2 to 3 months, I was earning enough commission to cover this anyway. So it doesn't need to be something that is any kind of barrier or block, because if you're committed to having a go at this and starting, it's very easy to kind of cover it within a short period of time anyway. And then the last point on there I've covered. So the monthly spend, the PV, it stands for points value. And for those of you that already got oils, there's a points value associated to every product. It's kind of like doTERRA currency. So when you're adding items to your basket, and they each have a PV value, and you just have to make sure that the items you've added are of equivalent when you add them up to 100 PV, which is about 80 to 90 pounds.
Did you want to do this one, Sarah?
I can, yeah. So the wider tribe that we are part of. So with doTERRA and with network marketing, we are all the our own bosses of our own companies, and we are all at the top of our own little trees or organisations, however you like to describe them. And just before I move on to these testimonials, when I was looking at this business side, I had the belief that if I was joining at the time that I was joining, that meant that I would be earning less, and I could never earn more than the people above me. That was an incorrect belief, but I actually thought that's how it worked. But actually it doesn't matter when you join or who you're below or who's above you. You can do better than everybody above you. You can overtake people. So just wanted to point that out. It just popped into my mind. So we've got some testimonials here. The first two I'm not going to read out, just because you guys have probably had a glance at them while I've been talking. So I'll just flick over now. Did you want me to do this one, Nat, or did you want to do it?
Yeah, you do this one and I'll do the next one.
Okay, sure. So these are all testimonials from people, within we call our teams tribes, and it's really just reflecting the collaborative kind of nature of how we all support each other. And a few people, we invited them to give a testimonial and on why they chose to do doTERRA and and how they've kind of found it thus far. So Moira said that for her, it was the purity of the oils, especially the fact that you can take them internally. She decided to do the business when she realized that she wanted them in her everyday life for the health and well-being of herself, her family, and her clients. Therefore, she knew that she'd easily spend 100 PV a month. Also, the fact that the oils sell themselves, so she never had to be pushy. And then Katie Jo, who is a fellow nutritionist, I'll read you what she said. So she said, as a nutritionist, I've been using essential oils for years in my practice with another company. Unfortunately, my trust was broken recently and I had to take a decision to lose some business and change brand. I'm so pleased I did. Although I have to build a completely new downline, the doTERRA product support has been so brilliant that I wish I'd done this years ago.
Okay, so we've got Charlie Brown, who says the power of the oils, the desire to share them with others, and the peace of mind of building an additional income stream on my terms. I love being a photographer, but if I break my arm, then what? Preparing for an impact in a positive way. So I really like that she says this, because I actually work with people that have wellness businesses in sort of all areas of business. But one of the things that I really like to teach people about is the value of creating multiple income streams. If you're self-employed and your job and your work depends on yourself and you being able to use your body, in wellness businesses that's usually the case, but in other businesses as well that's the case, photographers, gardeners, whatever. You know, if something happens to you and you can't work and you don't have any other income streams that you've been building up, what happens then, as Charlie says? So it's so important to actually create that safety net and that stability, that you know that no matter what, because you have actually built up another income stream, that you are going to be okay, and that if something happens to you and you can't do your primary business for a little while, or even in a more extended amount of time, you know, you have actually been building something that you can then rely on and that you can actually then focus on as well. So, you know, for me, that is actually super important, and that's another one of the reasons that I chose to become involved with this business in particular as well. And then Jude says, I knew that these oils would change my life, and they have. From now being medication free, now to my children asking for them and talking about them. I just knew that there was something special about them. I was right. And it's interesting, actually, I've found that children are, because they're so high vibrational and the oils are so high vibrational, children just seem to be very, very attracted to the oils. They can tell that there's something special about them. My little boy definitely does.
Yeah, very true. Okay, so last two testimonials, I think. So Laura said, the icing on the cake was the opportunity to create residual income. I've always been appalled that as women, we generally have to pause our careers to have children, and I've witnessed how disempowering that can be. With doTERRA, this opportunity allows us to embrace this time, and I feel so grateful to be able to help empower other women in this way. So I can relate to this. You know, I can relate to, you know, one of my reasons for doing doTERRA is to become financially independent. So I'm married and I've got children, but to actually be personally financially independent is very empowering. And, you know, doTERRA is something you can do whether you know, even if you've got a baby and a young child. You know, there's many doTERRA babies, and as a company, doTERRA welcome children, you know, to their events, and have, you know, there's quite a few children and definitely babies at doTERRA events. Yeah, so I can definitely relate to that. But also there's a growing a growing groups of men, you know, choosing to do doTERRA as well. And we refer to them affectionately as bro-terras. And yeah, so it's growing, and everyone is interested. And then we've got our very own Jasmine, who I think is listening in tonight. So Jasmine and I actually went to Amsterdam together, and at the time it was just her and I in my personal team. And so this was a special one. It was our first convention, and Jasmine said, I went to the Amsterdam convention not long after starting the business, and was literally blown away by how heart-centered the company are, and how closely they work with and support the communities where the oils are sourced. I've never come across anything like this before, and doTERRA's vision for integrated healthcare, education and empowerment is something that I feel strongly aligned with. Nat, do you want to do this one?
Yeah, so we've come to the end now, and this is just highlighting what happens next. If you have enjoyed what you have heard and seen tonight, and you would like to take the next step, that actually depends on where you are in your doTERRA journey. So some of you may already have your own oils, and some of you may not have any oils yet. So reconnecting with the person guiding you in doTERRA. So if you haven't got your oils yet, then that is definitely the first step. That's what we all take as our first step. We get the oils into our homes, we start using them and benefiting from them, and building our trust and our love for the products. So if that's you, that's definitely your next step. If you have some oils already, and you already love them and have had some really lovely positive experiences, and you know that you would like to move forwards with this, this is actually perfect timing, because this webinar is the first in a 10-part training program for people who are new to the business, as it says here, new builder training. So we will actually be running a webinar at this same time for the next 9 weeks, and it actually takes you through step by step everything that you need to know when you're setting up your business with doTERRA. So it's really user friendly, and it explains everything, and there's plenty of time to chat to us and to get all your questions answered and basically be guided through the whole thing. So if that appeals to you, then definitely let the person know who has invited you here this evening and who you're working with, and you can get yourself plugged into that. And then just a little reminder to set up your LRP, which is your loyalty rewards auto shipping for 100 PV or more. And Sarah spoke about this earlier. And this is just to make sure that when you start having orders, processing orders, and are eligible for commission, that you that the system recognizes you and you don't miss out on any commission. We wouldn't want that to happen. So just making sure that when you're ready to take this next step, that's something that you have actually got in place. And again, if you want to know any more about that or how to do that, please just have a chat with the person that you're working with, and they'll be able to help you with all of those things.
Okay guys, so thank you very much for joining, and I stop the recording now.